You've been told that manifesting your dream life is hard. Rituals, affirmations, endless vision boards, constantly trying to raise your vibration as if happiness is a finish line you must chase. But what if the truth has always been simple, so quiet, so effortless, that most of us miss it entirely? The universe you see is not a reward system for effort. It's not judging how hard you try, how many steps you follow, or how desperate your prayers become. It responds instead to something far more subtle. It responds to coherence. Right now, you're living inside the quantum field, a realm not of objects, but of possibility. A living ocean of probabilities that shift, collapse, and shape themselves around the signal you emit. But here's the catch: most of us are sending noise, not signal. We say we want love while fearing rejection. We say we want abundance while vibrating lack. We say we trust, but grip so tightly our hands are white-knuckled with control. And the field, precise, impartial, reflects back not what we ask for, but what we are. You've been taught to fight reality with effort, to say enough affirmations until the doubt is gone, to visualize so vividly that you can almost trick your mind into believing. But in the quantum world, forcing is friction. You cannot command the field into compliance. You can only invite it into resonance. Because quantum manifestation isn't about getting, it's about being. It's not about rewriting the external scene. It's about dissolving into the version of you that already lives the reality you long for. Imagine this: every possible version of your life already exists as waves unseen, unformed, waiting. They do not collapse into reality until a coherent observer arrives. That observer is you. Not just the thinking, planning, logical you, but the feeling you, the intuitive you, the part of you that vibrates, breathes, and hums with emotion, the part of you the universe listens to. And yet most people live caught in a loop. They try to manifest abundance from a place of fear. They try to attract love from a place of loneliness. They affirm peace while their body whispers, "I'm not safe." That dissonance sends static into the field. Not clarity, not signal, just noise. And so they wait, they struggle, they search harder, and they say, "It doesn't work." But here's what no one told them. The field doesn't respond to want, it responds to embodiment. Let me offer you this instead. You're already entangled with the life you desire. Not in some far-off future, not once you've healed everything or gotten it all right, but here now, beneath the noise. You're not meant to chase alignment. You're meant to remember it. Your job is not to manipulate life. It is to become clear enough for life to recognize you. But this simplicity is disarming. We are so addicted to control, to steps, to struggle, that surrender feels like failure. Letting go feels like giving up. Doing less feels lazy. And yet the quantum field is listening. Always. Not to your effort, but to your frequency. Think of a time something came to you easily. Not because you forced it, but because something in you had opened. You had softened even for a moment. You had let go just enough to become available. That's quantum manifestation. That's coherence. And it begins not with more action, but with stillness. With choosing to stop gripping. With allowing yourself to be the version of you who no longer chases. Because the moment you stop needing the field can finally meet you. This is where we begin. Not with doing, but with tuning. And so I invite you right now to pause. Take a breath. Feel your body. Notice the tension you've been carrying, the effort you've been making, the grasping for something just beyond reach. And gently, without judgment, soften. Let the breath slow. Let the mind quiet. Let the desire dissolve into being. This is where alignment begins. In the next part of our journey, we'll begin to unpack the mechanics. The observer effect. Wave collapse. The subconscious broadcasts you didn't know you were sending. But for now, just be here. Because before the shift becomes action, it must first become awareness. And in the stillness of awareness, your frequency begins to rise. Not by force, but by remembering. We've been told that our thoughts create our reality. That mindset is everything, that if we can just think positively enough, the world will bend in our favor. But in the quantum world, the mind is not the only player. The true observer isn't just your conscious thoughts, it's the entire field of your being, your breath, your pulse, the patterns that live quietly beneath the surface. It is your subconscious, your energy, your emotional resonance that whispers to the field even when your voice is silent. The quantum field is a mirror, but not one that reflects what we want. It reflects what we are. And most of us, without realizing it, are walking through life broadcasting a signal we don't even hear ourselves. We say we desire abundance, but our bodies are still wired for lack. We affirm love, but our hearts are armored. We visualize freedom, but our nervous systems are locked in survival. In this silent dissonance, we create distortion. The field does not judge or punish, it simply reflects. This is why so many people feel stuck. Not because they aren't trying hard enough, but because they're trying from a place of internal fragmentation. They're repeating affirmations that their subconscious cannot accept. They're visualizing outcomes while emotionally anchored to old wounds. They're attempting to outthink trauma that lives not in their thoughts, but in their bones. And so the field, perfectly precise, returns more of the same. The observer effect in quantum physics tells us that particles exist in a state of possibility until observed. It is our attention, our awareness, that collapses the wave into a specific outcome. But we must expand our understanding of what observation really means. It's not just what we focus on with our eyes or minds. It's what we embody, what we feel consciously or not. Your subconscious is a powerful observer, often far more influential than your surface desires. And if the subconscious is broadcasting fear, the wave collapses into more fear. If it is anchored in scarcity, that becomes the shape of your world. This is where coherence becomes the hidden key. Coherence means that your thoughts, emotions, and actions are in harmony. It means that what you think aligns with what you feel and what you do. And when these layers of your being move in unison, your signal becomes clear. And in the quantum world, clarity is everything. Clarity collapses the wave into form. Clarity becomes magnetic. So what does this mean in practice? It means slowing down enough to hear the quieter layers of yourself. It means noticing when your words don't match your internal state. When you say, "I am enough," but your chest tightens. When you declare, "I am loved," but your body contracts in mistrust. These are not failures. They are invitations. Each contraction is a breadcrumb pointing to where your alignment needs care, not force. True manifestation is not a mental exercise. It is an act of becoming. It asks for presence, for honesty, for tenderness. It asks you to stop striving to manipulate the field and begin nurturing the frequency of your own coherence. Because when your system is aligned, even softly, the field listens. Imagine this. You wake up in the morning, and instead of reaching for your to-do list or checking your phone, you pause. You place a hand on your heart. You ask gently, "What am I broadcasting today?" Not as a judgment, but as a check-in. You notice a thread of anxiety, a hum of doubt. You breathe into it. You soothe your body. You realign. This is the quiet work. Invisible to the world, but seismic in its impact. Because here's what no one tells you: the quantum doesn't respond to performance. It responds to presence. And presence can only arise when you are honest with what is alive in you now. Not the version of you you think you should be, but the one who is here, imperfect, in motion, remembering. There is profound beauty in this. Because it means you don't have to fake it until you make it. You don't have to perform a perfect frequency. You simply have to notice when you've wandered and come back, again and again, gently. The return is the practice. The return is the manifestation. So let this part of the journey be a softening. Let it be a reminder that the power is not in pushing, but in aligning. That your deepest desires are not just goals, they are coordinates of a version of you that already exists in the quantum field. Your task is not to chase it down, but to become still and clear enough to meet it. The observer within you is always watching, not with judgment, but with infinite curiosity, with presence, with quiet devotion. Let that part of you be your compass. Let it guide you not to control your reality, but to harmonize with the version of it that is already yours. This is coherence. This is power without pressure. This is the invitation of the quantum. And it begins with you right here in this breath, in this moment, observing yourself not as broken or behind, but as becoming. In a world conditioned to celebrate striving, we have forgotten the quiet art of coherence. We've been taught that effort equals worth, that control ensures safety, that outcomes are best achieved by tightening our grip. But in the language of the quantum control is resistance. And resistance clouds the signal. This is where so many seekers stumble, not because they lack vision, but because they attempt to force what must be invited. They chase their desires like prey, exhausting themselves in pursuit. They repeat mantras with clenched fists, visualize while holding their breath, speak affirmations through the tremble of uncertainty. And the field, precise, attuned, unjudging, reflects not the words, but the tension behind them. We've been told to manifest by doing more. But what if the deeper invitation is to feel more? To notice the current we are swimming in. To notice when effort becomes armor, when control becomes noise. The quantum field does not mirror your willpower, it mirrors your state. And a state born of force sends out an incoherent signal, a scattered frequency. Let's pause here. What does coherence actually mean? It is the inner harmony between your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. It is when you say, "I am ready," and your body relaxes in agreement. When you speak of love and your heart remains open. When you act from trust, not tension. Coherence is the song of your being when every note plays in tune. Control, on the other hand, fragments. It disconnects mind from heart, body from breath, desire from surrender. It creates static in the signal. And in that static, the field cannot clearly respond. So you try harder. You push more. and the more you push, the further away the manifestation feels. This is not failure. This is misalignment. Here's the paradox. Most never speak of the moment you stop trying to force the outcome, the field begins to move. When you soften, when you breathe, when you let go, not from defeat, but from remembrance, that is when the signal clears. That is when reality begins to shift. Think of the times something beautiful entered your life unexpectedly. A moment of grace, an answered prayer, a quiet miracle. What was your state just before it arrived? Were you gripping tightly, or were you open at ease, unattached yet quietly aligned? Coherence is not passivity, it is participation without pressure. It is doing from being. It is action rooted in trust. So how do we begin to move from control to coherence? It starts with awareness. Begin to notice the quality of your efforts. Notice when action is laced with fear, when striving feels like proving, when movement masks avoidance. In those moments, pause, return, breathe, ask yourself, am I acting from wholeness or from lack? Am I moving with the current of life or trying to outrun it? These questions aren't meant to correct you, but to return you. Because coherence is not a destination, it is a rhythm, a gentle moment-to-moment tuning of your system back into harmony. You don't need to control your path to shape your reality. You need only to attune your being to the version of life that already holds what you seek. When you feel lack, practice fullness. When fear tightens, breathe softer. When doubt whispers, respond with a still, steady presence. This is the quiet revolution of coherence. In the next part, we'll explore what it truly means to become the frequency, how to live not in pursuit, but in resonance with the timeline your soul already remembers. What if your life was not something you had to chase, but something you could simply tune into? This is the invitation of the quantum field, not to grasp, not to reach, but to become. To become the very frequency of the life your heart already longs for. Because in the quantum world, you don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. This isn't about pretending or performing. It's not about layering affirmations over doubt or stacking positivity on top of fear. It's about a more honest kind of embodiment, one that begins not with doing, but with being. With noticing how you carry yourself through the quiet moments. With feeling what your breath is saying when no one is watching. With asking softly, what frequency am I living in right now? Imagine you want to call in abundance. The world may tell you to build a strategy, to work harder, to optimize. But the field is listening for something else entirely, the texture of your trust, the tone of your presence, the steadiness of your inner signal. So rather than reach, practice resonance. Begin with small acts of generosity, even if all you can give is your full attention. Notice where your body still clings to old scarcity, and gently, with compassion, begin to release. Or maybe it's love you wish to welcome in. The quantum doesn't respond to longing, it responds to alignment. So become love. Speak more kindly to yourself. Let your nervous system feel what safety truly means. Let your heart risk softness. Embody the relationship you dream of, not by waiting for another to appear, but by being the partner your soul craves. And for those seeking health vitality, a sense of aliveness, your body is not your enemy. It is the antenna, the messenger, the home. Tune it gently. Feed it with care. Move it with respect. Rest it without guilt. Let your physical presence become a prayer, not a punishment. The frequency of well-being is not created by fear of illness, but by loving what is already working inside you. This is the subtle path of becoming. No grand rituals required, just presence, just sincerity, just 1,000 quiet choices that whisper, "I remember who I am." The version of you that already holds your dream is not far. It's here under the noise, beneath the doubt. Becoming is not a reaching upward, it's a sinking inward. And when you live from that signal, the field begins to respond. In the next part, we'll explore how to live this in practice, not as a concept, but as a way of walking through the world. We'll anchor these insights into your daily rhythm and show how coherence becomes a lived reality, one sacred breath at a time. There is no finish line in this work. No moment when you'll be fully done, fully healed, fully manifesting on command. Because this path isn't a formula, it's a rhythm. A living, breathing relationship between your internal state and the unfolding of your life. The art of quantum manifestation is not in what you know, it's in what you return to. Daily, quietly, gently. Not to perform, but to remember. Each morning is a new portal. Before the world rushes in, before your mind begins to narrate its old stories, pause. Breathe. Ask yourself not what do I need to get today, but what frequency do I choose to be: trust or tension, ease or effort, wholeness or seeking. This choice begins the wave, and then throughout your day, let your body become your guide. It will whisper when you drift. It will tighten when you forget. But this is not failure. It's just the moment to return. Place your hand on your heart. Take a breath. Ask, what would the version of me who already lives this reality choose right now? Then act from that place, however small the step. This is how coherence is built, not through dramatic leaps, but through consistent tuning. And at night before sleep claims, you let your final thoughts be gentle. Reflect not with judgment, but with curiosity. Where did you wobble? Where did you align? What can you honor within yourself? Gratitude is coherence's companion. Acknowledge the smallest signs, the quiet synchronicities. Let them remind you that the field is already responding. And remember, you are not doing this alone. We are energetic beings shaped by the currents we swim in. Choose your waters well. Surround yourself with those who live in the vibration you are growing into. Let your conversations, your spaces, your communities become reflections of the timeline you are claiming. Because manifestation is not something you perform, it is someone you become. And that becoming is sacred. So let this be your practice to live not in waiting, but in embodiment. To walk not in need, but in remembrance. And to tune moment by moment, breath by breath to the field that has never stopped listening. You are the signal. You are the field. You are the unfolding. And now the only question left is, what frequency will you carry forward from here?